Bracha is daf samach. According to everybody, if you buy brand new clothing or any vessel, a kli, you make a shechiyanu. The question is, what if you already have that exact kli, and this is the second time around that you're buying it? Well, it depends. If you bought it for the second time, according to the first lashon, you don't make a bracha at all. If you had it because you inherited it, so now there's something new by you buying it, so according to Rav Huna, you don't make a bracha, and according to Rabbi Yochanan, you do make a bracha. But according to the second lashon, if you had this kli, you had this garment already from an inheritance, and this is the first time you were buying it, even Rav Huna agrees that you make a bracha. The argument between Rav Huna and Rabbi Yochanan is whether you make a bracha if this is the second time around that you're buying it. According to Rav Huna, you don't make a bracha. According to Rabbi Yochanan, even in such a case, you make a shechiyanu. If you have a situation where something bad happened, but it also includes something good, for instance, your crop was ruined from a flood, but the flood is good for next year, for the next crop, you still make dayan emes, even though it includes some good. And the same thing in reverse. What if you have something really good that happened, but it includes something bad? For instance, you found a metzia, you found something in the street, but it's possible that it's bad because the king will find out about it, will come and take it from you, and that will cause you great aggravation. Nevertheless, you say, Hatoiv HaMeitiv. We learned in the Mishnah, if a person's wife is pregnant, it's a tefillah shav, it's fruitful to just daven and say, I wish it's a boy, it's already too late. What about the fact that Leah davened and she switched her baby to be Dina, from a boy to a girl? That's a nes, we don't discuss nisim. It's also possible that was within 40 days, and within 40 days you could daven. As we learned, within the first 3 days of pregnancy, you daven that it should be a pregnancy. From 3 days until 40, you can daven that it should be a zachar. From 40 days till 3 months, you daven that the baby shouldn't be squashed by another. And from 3 months to 6 months, you daven that there shouldn't be a miscarriage. From 6 months till the end of the pregnancy, you daven that it should be a good birth. Now we learned, and we learned this throughout Shas, that if a woman fertilizes first, it turns out to be a zachar. We must say that in our sugya, we're talking about the man and the woman both fertilize simultaneously, and therefore you could still daven that should be a zachar. Gemara tells us a story about Hillel HaZaken, who heard screaming coming from his city, and he said, I'm sure and certain that it's not coming from my house. The Gemara says that Rabbi Shmuel was walking with one of his students, and he noticed that his student was shaking out of fear, and he said, is it possible that you sinned and that's why you're shaking? He says, no, I'm machbid on the pasuk, Ashri Adam Mefachik Tamid. A person should constantly be in fear. Says Rabbi Shmuel, you didn't understand the pasuk. The pasuk is talking about Torah. You should always be fearful that you're going to forget your Torah, and therefore you should review and chazer your Torah over and over. We learned in the Mishnah that Benazai says if you go into a dangerous city, you should make 4 brachas. What are the 4 brachas? When you walk in, right before you walk in, you say, Yiratzim Lefanecha Hashem Elikai, Shetachniseni Lekrach Zeh L'Shalom. You should bring me into the city in peace. Once he gets into the city, he says, Moedan Lefanecha Hashem Elikai Shechnastani Lekrach Zeh L'Shalom. Thank you for bringing me in peace. When he's about to leave, he says, Yiratzim Lefanecha Hashem Elikai Lekrach. I should leave in peace. And once he's out, he says, just like you took me out in peace, like we say in Gemara says, this is in a place that there's no judge, there's no court system, but in a place that there's a court system, there's no reason to daven, everything will go according to the law, as long as you keep the law. Says Gemara, no, or you could say that perhaps even in a place that there's a law and court system, nevertheless you should daven, perhaps you won't find someone to testify for you. In those days, the bathhouse was a very dangerous place. The only way to heat up the water was to suspend the water on an upper level and have fire underneath that floor. And occasionally it would collapse. So you had to say a special davening that included vidui, believe it or not. You'd say, Yiratzim Lefanecha, Hashem Elikai save me from this and others like it. And nothing bad should happen to me. And if something really bad happens to me, this is basically vidui. Abai says, Al tiftach pelasatam. You should never open your mouth and say something negative like that. And when a person leaves the bathhouse in one piece, he should say, that you saved me from the fire. The Gemara says the story, Rabbi was in the bathhouse and the floor fell out from under him, and with a nace he was saved. He held onto one of the beams and he was able to save 101 people by them holding on to him. if you go into bloodletting, you say Yiratzim U'Fanech Hashem Elokai She'esek Zeh Li'Refuah. This business that I'm doing here should be for medicine reasons. V'Tirpaini Kikel Roifei Nemon Ata U'Fuasel Shleima. Your healing is whole. The Gemara understood that one should not try to heal himself. One should just daven. Says Abaya, but that's not true. The pasuk says, "V'rapo yirape," that the Torah gave us permission to use doctors and medicine. And when a person leaves the bloodletting, he should say, "Baruch roifei chinam." When a person in those days would go to the bathroom, he would tell the malachim that accompany a person. He'd say, "You guys wait out here for me," and he'd say, "His kavdim uchubadim g'doshim mishar seyaloi." The Mishnah Berurah says that today we don't do that, since it's haughtiness, as if we go with our malachim. Abaya says, don't tell the malachim to wait outside, because perhaps they'll leave you and they'll leave you for good. So you say, Shamruni, Shamruni, watch me, Azruni, Azruni, help me. Samchuni, Samchuni, Amtinuli, Amtinuli, wait for me. And when he goes out, the Gemara brings the whole language of Asher Yatzar, as we know. And at night you say Kriya Shema Lamita, as we know. You say until V'hayim Shemaya. And then you say the bracha of Amapil Chevli Sheina. When a person wakes up, at the time of the Gemara, you would say all the brachas that we say in one shot, you'd say it as you perform another function. So when you wake up, you say Elokai, Neshama Shenasata Bi, etc. And when you hear the rooster, you say Asher Nasan Lasechvi, which is referring to the rooster, or the mind that knows how to differentiate. When you open up your eyes, you say Pakei Achivrim. When you sit up in your bed, you say Matar Asurim. When you wear your clothing, you say Malbish Arumim. When you stand up, you say Zoyev Kefufim. When you get onto the floor, you say Roika Haaretz Alamoyim. When you start stepping, you say Amechim and Tzadigover. When you tie your shoes, you say Shas Salikot Sarki. And when you put on your belt, you say Oizei Yisrael B'Gvura. When you put a covering on your head, you say Oiter Yisrael B'Sefara. When you put on your tzitzis, you say L'Sativ B'Tzitzis. When you wear your tefillin Shel Yad, you say Lehoniach with a kametz. When you put your Shoroish on, you say Mitzvahs Tefillin. There are those who say only one bracha. When you wash your hands, you say Al Netilas Yadayim. When you wash your face, you say Amaver Sheinu Me'edno Yisnu Hafapa, and then you say Yiratzon Shtargi Leidim Yisar Secha. Baruch Hu should make us used to learning Torah. Without becoming mitzvah Secha, we should be used to doing mitzvahs. Baruch Ata Hashem Goimel without a hey. Goimel Chasadim Tovim L'Am Yisrael. A person must make a bracha on the bad, just like he makes a bracha on the good. Meaning, it should always be besimcha. You should be happy. Rabbi Kiva says this Gemara famous story. He used to say everything HaKadosh Baruch Hu does is for the good. And he once went to a place and nobody would invite him in, so he had to sleep in the field. And he had a rooster, a candle, and a donkey. The rooster was his alarm clock. Says the Gemara, in the middle of the night, the wind came and blew out the candle. Then a cat came and ate his rooster. And then a lion came and ate his donkey. And he said, Kol mad David Rachmana L'Tavav, everything's for the best. And in fact, soldiers came and took everybody captive, and he was saved. Have a wonderful day.